Hello brick sculptors and welcome back to Brick Sculpt. This is Chris and I have an exciting new video for you today. We are going to talk about hexagons. I had a viewer of mine mention in the comments that they were interested in knowing how to make the proper angles for a hexagon, and so I did some research. I did some playing around with this stuff on my own, and I'm going to show you kind of what I know and what I have found out. In the context of chat, I had another viewer suggest that I start a Discord server. Now, I'm completely new to Discord, so bear with me, but I did set up a Discord server with several channels in it to chat in. If you go on there and it looks like I'm a complete beginner, it's because I am. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know on the server and I'll do my best to make improvements. And just another resource where we can share ideas, share pictures, share chat about these concepts, and hopefully grow this community a little bit more. With that being said, let's go ahead and start with some hexagons. Now the first one I'm going to build starts with some clips. I got one of these double clips here mounted on a 2x2 plate, and one of these bar pieces on the other side. We're going to put another plate on top, and one more on top of that. I'm trying to vary the colors in these builds so you can see better what I'm doing. I'm going to make a string of 6 of these, and this looks kind of like a watch band. And then we're just going to simply wrap it around into a hexagon. Now this has a slight amount of play to it, but on the outside we're going to mount 2x4 plates. And as I mount these, this will kind of tighten up on itself as these plates are going to run very close to each other. And there we go, we have a hexagon. It has a little bit of movement to it, which is okay. And actually, I kind of prefer it that way, so it's not super tight and the pieces aren't really actually touching. But that is pretty close to a perfect hexagon. Now we can also scale this. The nice thing with hexagons and shapes, building them in this way, is as long as this angle is correct, you can replicate this in any length side. And let me show you an example. I'm going to do the same thing here, but this time I'm going to build it with 2x4 plates as opposed to 2x2s, and I'm just going to make the sides longer. And here I can connect this with a bunch of like sections, and they have the exact same corners as the smaller one, but this one has 6 stud wide walls. And this will scale infinitely. You can go as big as you want. Here's an 8 stud wide. I didn't go any bigger than that. But because these angles are the same here, you can make this really as big as you want to. Now, you might be asking, how are you going to connect this to a base? And I would recommend the simplest way would be to use a snot brick. You could do something like this on the inside. It is going to be limited in connection. You have this one spot here, and the rest of this would have to sit on tile or something. So you're going to have to base it off something like that. Obviously be a smaller piece on this one. You can go bigger on this, but it's going to be just one side. This side here is not going to space out properly, so you really have to connect just on one side to the base, but it can be done. Now this is a cool way. You can obviously build these plates as high as you want and make several rings and make a tower out of it. Another cool thing, though, if you want to convert it with a snot technique, which is actually kind of funny because it's already in a snot technique, we're going to use another snot piece to convert it back out of snot. Let's go ahead and take this little guy here, and I'll show you what we can do with this one. So now I can take a couple of these snot pieces. Let's say I'm just going to connect these with some tile. There's definitely a lot of different decorative ways you can do this. And stick it on the outside. Grab some more of them, and I'll just do this all the way around the outside here. Which will allow me to then build up off of this. I can take some masonry bricks here with a hinge piece even, which will fit perfectly, and do our corners just like this. And then we can cap this off with some more tile or whatever we want to do. But you can definitely incorporate hinge pieces into this technique as long as you get studs back on top. So pretty cool how you can form that pretty easily. Let's go ahead and move on to another technique. Now this one I found online and I thought was super cool and creative. And it's a real simple combination, but kind of tricky. And basically you use these 1x2 bricks with a Technic hole in it. Now, I know I'm going to hear it in the comments, I'm just going to say it. This is technically illegal, at least in a lot of people's view it is, to connect a Technic hole to a stud. But I do it all the time. I don't see the problem with it, and I think it creates for some cool techniques. And basically what we're going to do, these ones here are just two 1x2 bricks stuck to the outside of a Travis brick. You have to make sure the long side with the anti-stud faces sideways, not like this. Otherwise it won't work. And then we're just going to alternate. So we're going to take one of these guys, stick it on top. And then the key to this is we have to line up these two edges. So we're going to twist it until they line up nice and straight like that. We're going to take another one, stick it on top again. And same thing, we're going to line up two edges. It really doesn't matter which ones, as long as it's studs facing out. And then we're going to take the last piece and do the same thing. We do have to make sure that we hit all the directions. I don't want to put this here because there's already two on that side. And it's kind of a funky shape when you're done, but it will make sense once you put plate on it. So if we take some plates now, and on every side we put one of these plates, this makes for what I believe to be a perfect hexagon. Just like that. Now this could be a lot of things. This could be a pillar. This could be a very large tree trunk. Now this is not super stable, but there's a way to make it more stable if you can afford to make it taller. And I'll show you that next. One thing I really like about this technique is it has a center point on it. Unlike this, finding the center is still going to be incredibly difficult. But on this one, you have a stud dead center in the middle of this shape and an anti-stud dead center also. So you could put this on some sort of pin or a stud. You could connect to this and continue it on. But let's say I want to make it a little stronger. All I have to do is double it. So here I just did the shape twice. And so every outside panel will have two connection points instead of one, making it a heck of a lot stronger once I put these outer panels on. And you can see this would make for a very cool column. It would have to be quite a large building, but you can put multiple of these together. You could obviously put tile on this to make it look a little bit more sleek than this guy covered in studs. But I think that is such a cool technique, and I think that is about as close to a perfect hexagon as you're going to get with Lego. If you want to go real big, you can do the same thing and just start to space out bricks and put plate on the outside. So same thing, we can build out from the center here. Now personally, if you're going to get this big, I think this method works better, or the one I'm going to show you next. But you could do it, and if you need that center stud, this might be the best way to do it for you. Now this is a design I found online, at least the smaller one. I expanded on it a little bit, whatever. I'm not taking credit for this design. In building this, I did think, I wonder how small I can make a hexagon. And I played with pieces for a while, and here's what I came up with. I don't think this would be possible, or at least say as easy, without this new snot piece. This piece is amazing, by the way. If you don't own these, go buy them. They're worth it. We're going to put it facing the opposite direction of a standard 1x1 snot brick. And then we're going to put some plates on the outside. Just like that. And now we can basically create the same thing, but with 1 by 1. So I can make more of these. And again, I'm just going to try to line up these corners perfectly like that. And I'll take a third one and do the same thing again. And this is ready to put tile or plate on. When you do it, it's going to look like this, which is a really cool thin column. This is a little bit more fragile, but just like these other designs, you could double it. Now, finding plate or tile that long could be tricky, but I think you could do it. But this could be an amazing tree trunk. You may put some little details in here. I don't know, get creative with it. But I think that is a really cool hexagon, and it uses the same principle as this big one does. Okay, now the last design I was tinkering around with, and I really wanted to come up with something using just hinges. Most people's go-to when building a hexagon would be to use 6 hinges in a circle. Well, it'd really be a hexagon, but just arranged like this. The problem is when you do that, they have the freedom to move on their own. So I'm going to show you what I came up with as a solution for that, and I really like this method, and I think this would probably be what I would use if I was building a tower or something. So let me show you that. So we're going to take 2 hinge plates, and we're going to mount them on the bottom of a 1x4. Now keep in mind, this can be scaled to any size you want because the angles are the same, just like with this design here. You can really make this any size you want. So you're not limited to a 1x4 like this. You can go as long as you want to. I'm going to take a snot brick, 1x2 snot brick, facing inward into the hexagon. I'm going to take 2 1x1 snot bricks facing outward. You don't have to do this step if you want to build a smooth outside, but if you want to put any sort of plate on it or tile, that's a good way to do it. On the inside, I'm going to take a 2x2 plate, just like this. And then we're going to take headlight bricks. And we're going to put 4 of them facing opposite directions, just like that. A couple of cheese slopes. I've got the double ones here, but you could do it with the singles as well. The doubles do add a little bit of added stability to these headlight bricks. And this is going to be the basic design. And what these slopes are going to do is they're going to hit the next section, or come very close to, and keep it from rotating, and keep these hinges where they're supposed to be. So again, we have a whole string of them here. And we'll pop our last piece in, and then we just wrap them up. Super satisfying to wrap these up, by the way, like this, just to roll them together. Connect them. And again, this one also has a tiny bit of play, just like this method. I think it's a little bit less play than that method, but a little bit of play is okay. I'm not afraid of that, and I think that could actually be useful. And I would say this is also a pretty near perfect hexagon. Now, the reason I would probably build off of this as opposed to this, they both could be useful, and you can actually integrate both of these together. I'll show you that here in a second. But the reason I'd probably build off of this, you don't have to use the snot bricks. You've got connection points on the bottom already. Now, similar to this style, you would only be able to connect off one side, and the rest has to be on tiles, because if this is connected on the grid, the rest of this is not going to line up with anything. But this is pretty cool, actually. This shape will fit right on top of this, and it's basically just 3 plates narrower. So these two do integrate perfectly together if you want to. So you possibly could use both techniques in the same tower or build or whatever you might make that's a hexagon. Probably pretty limited to the things that'll actually be a hexagon. Towers are probably the most likely, but who knows? Maybe I'll make a giant pencil. That'd be kind of cool. You can also scale this. Just like with this method, because of these hinge connections, how these are set up, you can make any size outer walls. So like this one here is 6 wide. And same thing, little bit of movement, but not much. So lots of different stuff you can do there. And you're really not limited to the size of these, which is really cool. Because with some things, size can be a problem. It can change the whole way you build the thing. Well, I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, please leave them below. Again, check out my new Discord channel. It's in the comments. The discussion from these videos is always my favorite part. I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing how you would do this kind of technique and suggestions that you might have to either improve on any of these designs or things that you've done that are completely different that you think might work better. That's what we're here for. We're here to learn, and not just you to learn from me, but me to learn from you guys as well. And I love the back and forth here. If you like these kind of videos, please like and subscribe. I'm going to do more just like this in the future, and we will see you next time.